screens, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones of holly. Suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The pomp proceeders mockery and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Welcome back to Rogue Soul, where tonight we have December tarot reading, tarot oracle. We're going to look at the economy for December, the message around our physical health, message around our mental and emotional health, the message around our romance, around society, around a spiritual dimension, and then an overall message, as we do every month. And so happy December, happy end of 2025. We've made it. Here we are. So we get to look at this all. I'm not gonna lie, it is not a super bright, happy message I'm getting around December. And so there's some pretty heavy things. So we'll get into that. We'll just get there in a second. First, I'll tell you about roguesoul.org. It's the site. It's where everything I do is. So if you like these readings, you can get one for yourself. If you want to read the books that I have written, the channeled source inspirational books, as well as the channeled fictional trilogy about humanity's movement through the yugas, the ages. And that's all there on the site, as well as the shop where you can get powerful orgone to uplift your space and your spiritual work and take courses. There's all sorts of stuff there for you. Do go check it out, roguesoul.org there for you. And also I have the sessions, right? I always am doing the Lightning Oracle every first and third Tuesday. You can come get a message from your spiritual guides and allies or an answer to a question. A lot easier, cheaper, more accessible than some of the other things. So that's always a nice one. I'm always doing the past life tarot readings, the life path tarot readings, the sound healings, and the spirit guide sessions in which we channel your spiritual guides and allies for some healing, some messages, and more. That's all there. But there's two new editions you'll notice here. The 2026 reading is now available. So if you want to do your yearly reading, these are always backed by popular demand. So we look ahead at the year coming. Anytime in December or January, you can book your 2026 reading, get your 12 cards, one for each month, get a look at all of 2026. The accuracy is stunning. People are consistently coming back for more because every year they see how precise and accurate it is. So if you've never tried it yet, might be fun to do that. It's also a good gift. You can get a 2026 reading for yourself or someone else. Those also are on discount right now for another week of Black Friday, White Tuesday, small business Saturday, whatever it is. Here it is for you. So if you want to use the coupon code White Friday, is what I'm going with, White Friday, upon checkout, you can get $22 off your 2026 reading. I also have another new one you'll notice here in my list of events or one-on-one sessions, and that is the Bright Solstice Blessing. This is, again, a group event, just like Lightning Oracle, just like some of the blessing events or the new moon or full moon events I do. Bright Solstice Blessing will be on the 21st of December on the solstice. And just like every solstice and equinox, we're doing a big blessing, some messages to come through, some teaching, some practices. So a really beautiful time. Just a couple hours from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern that night. If you can't make it live, every event I do is always recorded only for the people who register. It's never going out to anyone but people who register. If you register, you do get that link. You get to review that. So if you go live, you can review it anyway. Just as a little backup, you want to check back in with some things, take some notes, or you make sure you heard it right, whatever it is. And then if you're not able to make it live, you still get all the blessings. You still just as powerful as if you are live with us, and you get that recording to review anytime you want. Those are usually available for about a week after the event before they disappear. So any time in that week that works for you, you can check in, or hopefully you can be there with us live. That's always fun too. And so those are there. If you want to do the Bright Solstice Blessing, you can also get a discount. Whether or not you choose to do the 2026 reading and use that discount, you can also use your discount code. This time it would be White Solstice. White Solstice if you're going to do the Bright Solstice Blessing. So both of those new events have a $22 discount for you if you want to come join. Again, you can join for yourself. You can also invite someone else, get them a ticket to attend. Everybody is invited to the Bright Solstice Blessing. Anybody can come and get a reading. That's all there at calendly.com/rogueways, or you can just click over from the site. If you go to roguesoul.org and you click on receive healing or schedule a session, it'll bring you right there and you can choose your session, book it, and use those coupon codes, White Solstice and White Friday. There's also one more deal I'll let you know about, and this is for any orgone in the shop. So again, they're at roguesoul.org. You can click over to the shop. You can see all these beautiful orgone pieces, these orgone lotus votives, the orgone pillars, and those are also $22 off right now. Also really great gifts. So get one for yourself, get one for a friend, use the coupon code White Friday there as well. You'll get that discount. That's all there in the shop. So I just want to keep you guys posted on that in case you haven't heard, didn't know. You get your, holiday shopping and get your Christmas presents for anyone, for yourself, and come to these events, get these really cool opportunities. So that's that. Now let's get into the reading. We're going to start here. We always start with the economic message for December. And here we have the Hierophant. Major Arcana, big energies, big shifts here. And the Hierophant is all about tradition and stability and passing down and doing things the same, right? Father to son to grandson to etc. And so we've got this indicated in this card. It's also often a little bit earthier. You see the Taurus sign there. So we're talking often about, and the Hierophant's more often like our traditions, our institutions, but the Taurus sign here in this deck on this card particularly draws our attention to that sort of stability of that material level. And here we are talking about the economy. And so it's double sort of indicated here that there's going to be some shift there. It is reversed, right? And so the indication I'm getting is that we may want to actually look to, as some of our maybe more traditional economic systems might be shaky, might be failing, we might be turning away from them. This isn't indicating necessarily some sort of huge collapse or anything, but it is sort of like, hey, maybe we want to look a different direction. Right? Maybe we want to go to the sort of less traditional. A different way to look at it is we want to go even more traditional, right? Because the more recently traditional is what's sort of being switched onto its head. And so talking about gold, talking about silver, right? Some of the really traditional things. And the other way you can look at it, like I said, is the less traditional. And that might be like the barter trade sort of route or the crypto sort of route. Those are both. A lot of these are actually uber traditional, except for the crypto. And I know a lot of people are very uncomfortable with that. They think it's, the mark of the beast or the trap of the electronic prisons that are being built for us. And I totally get that. It's not the way I feel about Bitcoin, but it is the way I feel about every other cryptocurrency, essentially, especially any CBDCs or government issued crypto. So I'm not an economic advisor, don't take, this is all for entertainment purposes, I'll say for legal reasons. But I would look at this card as indicating that silver, gold, barter trade, crypto, these are the directions that we would want to look more so than traditional banking, investing in the stock market, etc. Property might also be a good thing, right? But that this is the sort of direction we're sort of in general seeing shifts away from the traditional. And so we want to also be aware of that and looking ahead for ourselves, right, on what it is that we can do to keep our economic situation balanced and in abundance. I always am talking about there is no time where there isn't abundance. There's definitely time where people who don't get it are freaking out. They're causing chaos. There's markets crashing. There's, people losing lifetimes of savings. Like those types of things happen. And the universe is just as abundant as ever. There's no point in time where it could be less abundant than it always has been. That is the nature of the universe. In fact, you could look at it not just from a spiritual perspective, but from a materialist perspective and say nothing is created or destroyed. So there is no change, actually. There's just a change in some people's individual situation or perspective, which causes them to feel or perceive less abundance. right? So there's always a way is the point. There's always a way through. And there's always a way to remain in balance and in abundance, no matter what is happening around us. And this continues to be the message that comes through a lot of the cards that we've gotten for years now in these monthly readings. And this is no different. So it's just sort of inviting us to look at how things are being flipped on their head, how sort of the ways that we maybe grew up expecting the economy to work are not going to be how it works. And maybe especially in December, there will be some bigger shift that indicates that, but we can always be looking to how are we going to go, right? Which way are we going to go with any abundance we do have? What are we going to invest it in or create for ourselves or build this long-term stability? So this card is inviting us to do that again, and maybe even deeper. And so if this is your call to shift some things around, maybe that's it, right? Maybe that's it. So that's our economy card for December. That's our message around the economy. And this is what I was saying. It was a little bit darker, a little bit heavier energy here for December. Pretty straightforward. Another major arcana. So these are two big soul level kind of group collective consciousness level shifts that are happening or that are occurring in December. And this is the card of death. And what's hilarious to me is that 99% of the times out of thousands of readings that I've done, right? 99 out of 100 times the death card comes up. What I'm saying to people is this isn't really like saying that someone's going to die or that you're going to die. It's not, you usually almost never is that what's indicated because, you know, death of the physical body is only one of a million types of death that we encounter in our lives, right? Periods of our life die, relationships die, careers die, all sorts of things die that are not our physical body. And every once in a while it is indicated like, someone's going to die or you're going to die, right? Like something like that is actually what's indicated. Well, that's what's indicated here. This is a card that's coming up in the spot of physical health, right? So we're saying, hey, what's up with the physical health in December? And the guidance and the, you know, divine channel from heaven is saying death. Death is what's going to happen. Okay, well, that's pretty straightforward. So there's no other way to cut this, right? And I'm never really trying to sugarcoat things anyway. So I'm saying this is the message that's coming through. There's going to be death. Well, what's interesting to me about that is that that's been predicted specifically for December of 2025 by a lot of different sources, some of them governmental and some of them actuarial, like insurance wise. And so that's weird. That's weird that like other sources have also predicted death. And so you might say, well, then it's been planned. And that might be the case. It doesn't actually matter if it was planned or not. It seems like it's going to occur. And we can, I could give you a million things about my messages, about what I've seen, about what seems like it is the most likely source of this. But what I'll tell you what it is perhaps not based on the reading, if we're just going to stick to just this reading and just what's coming through in this reading, it is not likely to be death that is, for example, like civil war or some sort of war, like, you know, bombs or that kind of thing, because it's coming up in physical health. Not in society, not in some other spot in the reading, right? And so the indication is that it's an illness of some kind or some sort of illness, some sort of physical health. Or so it could be, you know, chemical war, biological war, if it were going to be war related. It was going to be some sort of attack. We could also look at some of the groundwork that has been laid in the past 4 or 5 years that might be triggered in some way remotely, right? And that might then affect people in a pretty serious way. And that might be what's indicated too. It also could be there's a new wave of some of the things that happened, you know, about 5 years ago, and that this is sort of round 2, and that it might be much more effective than last time because they've got all their pieces in place, so to speak. So that could be 2, right? I would love to say ideally this doesn't happen at all. Ideally, we find a way to transcend that or come around that. But I'll tell you, in all of the messages I've gotten my entire life, there was always a reckoning coming. There was always going to be a number of people who chose this moment to exit, and this might be that moment. I will also say we've not necessarily had the death card in the place of physical health in previous readings, but we have had previous readings where it was indicated that there would be a lot more potential death or just more illness is more pronounced in previous readings, and those have still overall been not this like massive devastating blow to the entire world or country or something, right? But just still there'd be upticks in severe disease or more deaths, and we would see for those months there would be, right, these sort of upticks in death. So it's also very possible that it isn't just devastating. But if it were talking about the same thing that, for example, the Deagle report has said, and Stratfor leaks have said even before the Deagle report, then it'd be exceptionally devastating. Then that would be a lot of people who die. And I always get up to these moments where, like Agenda 21, it's like, oh, they're not really going to do it. It's the end of 2019 and like nothing's really happening. And then all of a sudden they pull COVID in 2020 and things just change real fast. You're like, oh, well, they did actually pull it, right? And like things like that have happened before. And so I get up to like the Deagle report cutoff date, which is December of 2025. And I'm like, well, maybe it's not. I mean, there's not like just people dying left and right. So it's not like they could just like fit it all into 1 month and like kill off half the population or 70% in some countries or, whatever this forecast has said. And maybe I'm wrong. And maybe they can. So we'll see. So not the brightest news, not the happiest news, perhaps. Again, I can laugh and maybe seem like a psychopath when I'm talking about these things, because the people I love die. I will obviously be deeply hurt, and I will miss them profoundly on a physical level. But it's hard when you've been out of your body and you've gone to heaven and you've been to the center of the universe and you've traveled with spiritual guides and allies and you've seen the future and you've seen the past and you've come back to earth. And it's harder to take any of these physical things that seriously because it's just such a tiny diluted sliver of reality down here. And so, the higher consciousness that I have, like it never goes away. I've talked to you guys before about like when I was plummeting to my death on an airplane in real life, just a month ago or so. Part of me was my physical body reacting to wanting to stay alive. It wasn't even a conscious choice. My physical body just took over and was like, I'm going to survive somehow. But my other level of consciousness was like, yeah, okay, I guess this is how it goes. I thought I was not going to die till really, really old age, but I guess I die now. Like, all right, here we go. Not a worry at all, right? So they're both happening at once, right? My very human three-dimensional consciousness does not enjoy the prospects of seeing a lot of death in December, and my higher consciousness knows that it's okay, and that everyone who goes chose that, and that it's part of the plan of their own soul. Not some plan you're being forced through by some weird God personality, but the plan that these souls chose for themselves. And so nobody likes to hear that, but that is how it works. And so we'll see in December. The cool thing too is that this is upright, meaning again, maybe karmically it's actually balanced. Maybe on the soul level, it's actually a positive thing. And at the very least, we have some level of collective acceptance of this. Right. So at the highest levels, we've already come to that acceptance, which is interesting, too. So I'll be interested to see how this plays out in December, of course, as every card that I turn. And this one is just feeling a little bit stronger. I just also am noticing this Scorpio symbol here and the jab indicated in the scorpion tail is interesting. So we'll move on from the physical health card indicating death, and we'll go to our mental and emotional health. And we have yet another major arcana. This is 3 in a row this month, and it's all in our physical, mental, emotional, and economic zones. So really intense month. None of these quite positive either. And so a lot of heavy stuff moving through the collective, and this is no different. The mental and emotional card here is alchemy. Alchemy here is reversed, just like that Hierophant card was reversed. So there's some bigger blockage, some bigger, maybe even rejection or denial that's going on. We try to hold on to something that needs to be let go of, is usually how that goes too in these reversed cards. And alchemy is all about purification, actually. I mean, it's about going to the extreme ends of things until they kind of snap and come apart, right? And so it can feel kind of violent, and there can be some sort of like vitriol or lots of intensity in these alchemic transformations. And in the end, what's actually happening with any alchemical process, whether you're looking at it actual physical alchemy or the spiritual level of alchemy, which is much more often indicated, we're still looking at this purification, right? So in the physical alchemy is the easiest for us to maybe understand. Like you're putting a substance in, you're burning it, you're getting all of the soot and the ash and the dross off, and you're purifying it down to its most essential form. And so to do that, you have to separate things out as different as they can get, as separated as they can get before they finally are set. Now they're two different, distinct things. But at one point they were one thing, right? So this is about division. It is about separation. It is about division and separation that's so extreme that it feels like things are just being torn apart, but it's actually serving this purpose of purifying things. So mentally and emotionally, we might be feeling that. We might be really resisting any sort of progress or forward motion. We might be really trying to hold on to the past. We might be really trying to hold on to our sense of what we thought we were doing here as humans, what we thought we were doing together as humans, family, friends, otherwise. And mentally and emotionally, we're really being called to go to one side or the other. And a lot of people are resisting that. People don't like to just divide. It's fine. It makes sense. And in the end, at some point, you do actually have to decide, what side are you on? People like to say, well, we can transcend duality. We're all one. Sure. And also we're going through an alchemical transformation, and you're absolutely going to be called to one side or another. And so which side are you on? And it matters, right? Separating from one side causes that side to go deep into its extreme, which also will eventually catapult it back to another place and purify it. So it's not like anybody's really getting left behind or singled out or anything like that. So mentally and emotionally, maybe the message here is to perhaps try to create some more peace and acceptance in yourself around the division you are taking part in. Maybe make it a choice instead of something you resist, and in really clarifying for yourself. And this has been a message, especially again in the past couple of years of these readings that I do here each month for you guys, of really deciding about yourself. What is your line, right? What's your line? What's your boundary? What do you stand for? What do you not stand for? What side are you on? You might even look, there's like a million sides. Cool. It doesn't matter. You choose one. You know yourself more deeply, and you purify what it is you're actually doing. You're clarifying what it is you're actually doing. So mentally and emotionally, it might feel very divided. It might feel even chaotic. It might feel like you even bounce back and forth between these sides for a minute. And that might be part of the reversal here. But it's important for you to clarify for yourself where you stand, why you stand there, and that's it. There's nobody's judging it. This isn't some sort of cosmic game where someone's going to be like, you chose wrong. It's really just for you to decide. It's for you to choose and know that you're choosing. Don't let it be an accident, right? Oh, I don't know. I just ended up here on the side with these guys. Like, I'm not sure how. Like, no, don't do that. That's another reversal you don't want. You want to do this with consciousness. You want to do it because you chose it. And you want to be in as much acceptance about it as you can. So that's our alchemy card. That's for our mental and emotional message for December. So it's been very intense already, these 3 cards. And we'll see what comes next. This is a little bit smoother. It's a little bit less intense. We get a little break here in our romance card. This card is always really fun. This is the card of perfection. You might notice this card is reversed. It's the 4 of Wands. You might notice that if it were not reversed, it would look literally exactly the same. It's one of these few cards in this deck that has a really perfect balance in it. And perfection would be like that, wouldn't it? That no matter what angle you looked from it, it would still be perfect. And so we've got some 2 spears up, 2 spears down. If you turn it around, be 2 spears up, 2 spears down. There's a giant bubble here in the center. And, it's perfect is nothing, right? What's perfect? Nothing. Nothing is perfect. This concept we have of perfect, we don't have anything to represent it in our reality because nothing is perfect. We're not perfect. This desk isn't perfect. You're not perfect. This stream isn't perfect. Right? Nothing's perfect. We have the ideal of perfection and we say, God, I wish it could be perfect, right? Or look, I'm aiming for this thing that seems perfect to me. And that's the only place perfect exists. It exists in our heart. It exists in our spiritual eye. It exists in heaven, which is not where we're at right now, right? And so it doesn't really exist here, but we carry like the piece of it that calls us to it. And that's the part that matters. And so there's some sort of action that's suggested in this card. The reversal would indicate we're kind of resisting that action. And again, just sort of like the alchemy card we just saw, we're resisting choosing. And we need to not do that. I like, if you can, when this opportunity strikes in December, which is what this giant bubble represents, when this opportunity to get closer to perfection comes towards you, if you can choose it and move towards it, it's going to be better for you. If you continue to resist it, it's not. It's usually like a spiritually profound sort of experience or notion that pops in, inspiration that pops in. And because this is in romance here, it might even be that this is something we see in a partner or see in a potential partner, or take a chance on if you're not with someone yet, someone that you maybe otherwise wouldn't for some reason. And maybe that's the reversal here, right? Is that you're kind of like, I don't really date people like that, but maybe this is the person that you could, and you'd find out like, wow, actually, this is what I have always wanted. I had no idea that it could be found in this package, right? And that might be it. So there's some sort of opportunity coming in romantic situations with you, whether you're single right now or not, that will maybe be something you sort of resist, but that if you can move towards it is actually going to bring you even closer to some ideal of perfection that you have for yourself in terms of romance. And that's our message for romance in December. And for our society, our social card, what our society will be doing here. And again, this is generally focused on the West. Most of you out there are here in the United States or in Canada. Some of you are in Europe and Australia, and a few people smattered around in other places. And welcome to you all. But this tends to be focused over here, right? Because this reading is for the people who receive it. And so this tends to be here in this society that we will see yet another major arcana reversed for December. Big energies are coming up and just confronting people right in their faces, and most of them are resisting or rejecting it. Is what's going on with all these reversals. But this is the Fool. This is the card of the Fool. And in this reversal here indicates that in society in general, we will be wantonly throwing ourselves about, taking risks, making just decisions and just moving and grooving without any plan. And that is not the thing to do in December. That a lot of people will be driven by their emotions or by sudden impulse instead of any kind of plan. And in this case, it is not indicated that that's helpful. It's also possible that this reversal is like, oh, people are going to want to plan too much and think too hard about it and get too many details and be too stuck in that. And that's going to be the problem. But that's not the message I'm getting as much for December from this card than that people will be wantonly self-destructive or impulsive in a way that will not serve them. So they'll be foolish, in other words. If this were right side up, it would be like, yeah, go for it. Don't even worry about it. This is not the month you need to pay attention to details as much. You need to trust your gut more. You need to just go. You need to jump when you can. You need to run free, right? And that's not what's indicated here. It's almost the opposite. Right? It's not necessarily giving you advice. It's telling you that this is what society will be leaning towards. So I would look for overreactions. I would look for silly mistakes. I would look for some histrionic sort of, stuff, or people, maybe something does happen and people just start kind of losing it, going nuts, and just running rampant in some way. It has the flavor of the sort of, George Floyd's summer of burning down cities. I'm not saying this definitely predicts riots. I'm just saying it's that same sort of like, people have been pent up and all of a sudden they're let loose and they're just going, not really thinking about why, not really knowing exactly what they're doing. It has some of that energy to it. And again, it's self-destruction is indicated here, sort of wounding ourselves. And so that's also part of this. So some big emotional failures coming up here in December on a societal level. And we have our spiritual message, and this is the Ace of Swords. And this is what we're all called to do amidst all of these potentially chaotic, a little bit darker, a little bit more difficult, disruptive times in December, is to keep our mind focused on what the goal is and what matters. And this card isn't telling you what that is. It's telling you you actually already know what that is. And if you can keep focused on what matters, it will lead you through. If you see all this chaos of these waves and the storm kind of swirling around, that sword's cutting right through it, not slowing down for a second, not stopping, because you're already clear. So remember that alchemy card that said, like, I'm not really sure which side I'm on or where I'm going or what's right or wrong. Got to get over that. You got to get over that, because we're called here at this time to be the ones who hold this vision of ourselves, of what is right or wrong, of where we're headed, of why we're headed there, of what we're doing here, right? Like, why are you here? What are you doing here? And so that's what this sword represents, is the clarity of that vision, the clarity of that mental state that is able to cut through all the histrionics that society might throw itself into, all the overreaction, right? All of the, trying to hold on to a past that doesn't exist anymore, all of those things, so that you can cut right through it all, just like a sword through water, and get exactly to this place where you're meant to be, just there on the hill amidst the storms. And that's it. This is a spiritual message for December. So you're literally being called by your spiritual guides and allies, by higher powers, to hold this ideal within yourself. And so it is important. It's important to know. Getting the message to clarify is not important to know necessarily who's doing what at what level in politics and society in the world. It's not necessarily what's important. It's fine to be interested in that. It's fine to try to find out. It's not anything wrong with that. But that's not what this card is about. This card isn't about knowing for sure, right? Who's on your side and who's not at those levels. It's not what matters. What matters, for an example, is what you're doing in your immediate surroundings with the people you actually interact with on a day-to-day basis, in your community, at your job, and otherwise. That's more what it's about, right? So knowing what you're about, knowing what matters, knowing what's right and wrong, holding yourself and others to that standard, being clear about it, that matters in December a little bit more than it ever. It always matters. But in December, we're really called to just really be clear about that and hold that. It's gonna matter for you and the people around you a lot. So get clear on that. If you're not clear on it, you're always welcome to come connect with me. We can do a reading, we can do a spirit guide session or more, and get more clarity, get you more sort of rooted and connected. And so I'm always here for you for that. But this is definitely what we're called to do in December. So let's do it. And finally, we have our overall message, was this 8 of Stones, which is the card of knowledge. And I always love this card. It's so cool. This is really the card of like our ancestors' wisdom, our past life wisdom that comes up through us, sometimes beyond our knowing or understanding, sometimes almost like a miracle. And I think of, the times where I've called on my ancestors really in crisis. I mean, I call on them every day for many reasons, all my guides and all the good, true, and beautiful energies, because it's, always what I'm doing, readings and healings and the like. So they're always here with me. But in crisis, when I've called on them, and how really profoundly miraculous it has been, what has come through for me in those moments. And so, we always all hold this connection, and it's much more present and accessible than we are consciously generally aware of, that we can call on that, and like how much we actually do already know, that's literally living within our DNA, every cell of our body, and that's right here, right now. You might feel like you can pray and not really get an answer, and you might feel like you can call upon your spiritual guides and allies and you don't really get anything. And I just did a message on my Substack. If you're a Substack member, Substack, rogueways.substack.com, you just got this channeled message, I think yesterday. And this message was about how you can know things. You can know things. It's all within you. And it was really talking more on the esoteric levels and on the prayer level and that sort of level, the spiritual guides and ancestors I was just saying. But you might feel, and this message actually addressed that. If you read that channeled message on Substack, it addressed that feeling of like, it's not really working, or I don't really know yet, or why didn't it? And so that's true, right? For that to trickle through our subconscious and then up into our conscious mind, for a lot of people that can take a while. You're actually always answered, you're always responded to, and you always know, but not everyone's always waiting or present enough to really receive that over the time it takes them to do it, unless they're practiced enough. But with your ancestral wisdom and knowledge, your past life knowledge and wisdom, it is literally right here with you right now. It takes a lot less percolating to come through, but it's something that we're not really always believing or connected to. We've never been taught that. And so a lot of people have forgotten or don't really know. And this card is reminding us that exists and is here and that is present, that you can call on it, and that it is more present in a way that is easier for more people to connect to, actually. So feel free to call on your ancestors. Feel free to call on the wisdom that's within you. Feel free to call on your own past life wisdom and all of that lives right here, right with you all the time. And know that nothing has ever been forgotten. Not a single little thing. You might think you've forgotten it right here, right now, but you haven't. You're just, again, conscious mind is a weird place, but your subconscious knows it all, and every cell of your body knows it all. So you actually know it all. So that's what this card is really about. The card of knowledge, the Eight of Stones. It's a physically present wisdom and knowledge that's literally here with you all the time. So call on that in December and anytime. And that maybe will help you get through some of these economic shifts and hardships, that physical health death energy that's here in December, that mental and emotional alchemy that's going on of division and purification that can be really overwhelming, right? Or that societal disruption that we see with the Fool reversed. Are people going to be acting a fool, freaking wilding out? But keep that focus. Like we said, keep that focus, that presence in your mind of what is true, what is right, where you are going and why, and call on the ancestral and past life wisdom that is within you. And you will be able to traverse these storms much more easily. And that's the goal. That's why we even do these readings. That's why we look ahead, so that ideally we are able to move through with less pain, less resistance, and more wisdom. So that is the reading for December. Again, if you want to connect with me, if you want to get your own reading, just one-on-one, all your messages for December or otherwise, then you can book those soul services here. You can receive healing. Just click on that main button there on the front page. Takes you to the Calendly. You can choose which session you want and book it. If you want to do a 2026 reading, look ahead at the year, then you can get that $22 off right now and for the next week by using White Friday at checkout. If you want to come to the Bright Solstice event, you can get another $22 off by using White Solstice at checkout. And again, if you're in the shop here at roguesoul.org, you can get any of those Orgo Lotus votives, any number of them, $22 off using White Friday as well. That is what I'd love for you to do for your presence to yourself, presence to other people. Take advantage of all those. I'd love to see you both at a 2026 reading and the Bright Solstice event and the Lightning Oracles, everything. It's all good. It's all healing. It's all beautiful. It's all uplifted. It takes you deep. It takes you in connection. It's where we need to be in these times more than ever. And so I hope to see you guys at all of those things. And I hope to be with you here as we move through December and beyond. And until we absolutely bring in all that ancestral and higher level consciousness and wisdom and enact it in our lives to find more and more balance. Travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first.
To these screens, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones, a holly suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed properly. The hypocrisy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.